Well, hello, everybody. This is Nicole Whitlock with eCom Sellers, and this is the eCom Sellers podcast. I am one of your co hosts, and my co pilot on this journey is the amazing, the awesome.
Kelly, the eCom on board.
And we're here with you to share some e commerce news, tips, and more. So, with that being said, I am actually I'm going to check in with Kelly first because, she was out, she was on vacation. She did some
Yeah.
pretty cool stuff. So, Kelly, how was your vacation?
It was nice, a lot of driving. We had drove all the way from the Houston area all the way to North Carolina, and then we're at a tournament. It's a worldwide tournament for the martial arts we do, and then we came home. My son actually got third place in his ring for sparring. But me, my husband, my daughter, we didn't place in our rings, but my daughter had like 20 people in her ring. So,
Really?
yeah.
That's a lot.
Hmm.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
Oh
But
my
it was
gosh.
fun.
Well, I'm excited for you, and I'm excited for your daughter. I'm excited that you actually got a little bit of time off because I know it's not a common occurrence. So I'm glad that you got some time off. And I know you're here in Texas with me. It is hot as Hades.
My screen says it's 105 degrees right now.
It is, I don't understand what is happening.
Mhm. The
It is,
neighbors are outside right now having a party. I'm like, how can you be outside? I think they have one of those little setup pools in their backyard, but still, I'm like, no.
no, it's
Ain't it?
too hot. It's too hot for anything. And I do mean anything. Like it's hot. It's
Mhm.
very, very hot. So if you're not in Texas, congratulations. Because you're probably in a cooler part of the country. I don't know why. I mean, I think other parts of the country are hot, but this is crazy. How many days consecutively? Like, I think we did like 6 or 10 consecutive days, 100-degree records, something crazy. I'm like, it's bananas.
Mhm. Yep, and according to our local news guy, weather guy, he's like, we didn't even have one day last year that was over 100 degrees, and this year we're like at like 16 days in a row or something. We're supposed to.
Of 100-degree weather. Yeah.
Hmm.
So for us, we went on vacation too. I didn't really go on vacation. I don't call it a vacation. I took the boys on their trip. We do this special needs uh, family camp, and it's always a great time for them. I worked the majority of it because I'm still, playing catch up on 9,000 things. So we did that, and Nicholas had an amazing time. We went there with Joni and friends, and then after that, the family retreat in Texas. And then we went to Morgan's Wonderland, and we went with another family that's also on the same journey as mine, and we had a great time. Then we headed back home, and now my son's gone again. Got up this morning at 4 o'clock. No, yeah, 3:30 to get him to the church at 4 o'clock. So I'm tired. It's been a long day. We spent the last couple of days just pulling it together just to get him to the church and get all this stuff done. But I digress. So if all of you are on vacation, enjoy it. Don't do what I do because I'm just trying to play catch up. But the great thing about it is those who are with my kiddos, they they're able to watch them, and that helps me to be able to. Well, they don't really need watching, but they're able to entertain them so that I can get some work done. So I'm grateful to them for that. But in any case, I am getting ready to turn this over to Miss Kelly because Kelly always covers the news. So,
Yes, I found some news.
some news. Okay, we'll go for it. The floor is yours.
I know we talked about Poshmark is having their in live Posh Fest here in Houston area.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember exact dates. I believe it's in September sometime, but the price of the tickets weren't out at the time, and the tickets they've been released. They're $249 for the Posh Fest.
Okay.
So better snap get them before they sell out. And book your hotels and stuff if you plan to go. Um, but unfortunately, I'm not planning to go because it happens to fall during the week on the days I work my nursing job. So really, dog. Um, so we can't attend.
You go. Yeah.
Um, okay, for eBay announced their eBay Open, which is going to be a hybrid event of being online and having 3 in-person events across the United States. It's going to be September 21st to the 23rd, which is a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The online event is free to attend. Um, on the 23rd, they'll have the 3 in-person events, and one in New York City, one in Austin, Texas, and one in Los Angeles.
One in
And
Austin. Okay.
yeah, the in-person events do cost $20 to get a ticket to, but the attendees will receive a $20 gift card for eBay, some eBay swag, and a lot more.
Okay.
And registration opens for the online and the in-person events on July 20th.
Okay.
So just keep an eye out for that. Amazon. Amazon is telling the sellers to get rid of their Mylar stash bags.
Oh.
Um, yeah, all Mylar stash bags that are not clear or single color must be removed from the Amazon stores by August 5th.
Mm.
Apparently, it's been favored to use these Mylar stash bags for drugs and stuff because I guess they hold out the scents and the dogs can't pick up the scents of drugs and everything.
Oh
So,
my God.
yeah.
Oh, that's
So,
crazy.
mm-hmm. So I'm sure there's something in the Amazon back office about that, telling you about that restriction coming up. Also, this isn't really e-commerce. I just thought it was interesting that Amazon has struck a deal with Grubhub to add food delivery perks to its Prime membership. They're trying to add more perks to their Prime membership since they increased the cost recently.
Well, and
Um,
they also made a bunch of Prime members mad about the Whole Foods, what they stopped doing with Whole Foods, which was over a year
mhm.
ago. But yeah, so go ahead. Yeah.
So there is it'd be like maybe like no delivery fee with Grubhub and some other perks, lower fees or lower cost. I'm not, they didn't really say in the article I read exactly what the perks were, but they said that they're planning to add these other perks.
Okay.
So, in Etsy, last weekend, Etsy had released a promo code, but it was just for certain sellers and potential sellers who filled out a survey. That code got leaked it was for like 100 free Etsy listings because Etsy they charge you 20 cents per listing, and the listing lasts like 4 months before it gets you can get it renewed for another 20 cents.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, this code no longer works. So if you find it out there, don't try it. It doesn't work. It got out on Reddit, on Facebook, and went viral. And all these people thought they were going to get all these free listings, and so they've taken that back. So don't try it. And I think the people that did use it, I think that's been like null and voided. So if you see someone get putting out a code for something that's free, just make sure that it's good to go, good to use, so you don't ruin it for the people who are actually supposed to get it, or you know.
Or keep quiet.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And also, Amazon Prime's coming up, Amazon Prime Days. And a lot of places are saying, you know, you might as well skip it because they think it's not going to be the lowest prices on these items that they're going to be showing on these lightning deals and everything. They're, you know, a lot of articles are advising people to skip it because also other places are doing their lower prices. So make sure that you're price checking because maybe you think you're getting a better deal on Amazon just because it's a Prime Day deal, but it could be a better deal at Walmart or Best Buy or Bed Bath and Beyond. Having they're all marking down stuff too. So
Yeah.
just do your due diligence when you are, because I know everyone's crunching a little their bank accounts a little tighter because of well price the price of gas has gone down a little bit here. So I don't know about up there. We actually I saw gas for $3.99. I know some places are $6 or $7 a gallon, but we've got to about $4.99, and now I saw $3.99 this today when I was out doing some grocery shopping. So prices are going
Wow.
down a little bit on the pump.
All right. Anything else that you saw?
Not really, no. But it was
Okay,
like
so
it was a holiday weekend last week, so
all right. Well, I'm trying to find this. There's an article that I'd seen earlier, and for whatever reason, I failed to include it in, I found it in the news. So there we go. I found it. So now I'm going to include it. So let me share my screen and give me just a second. Give it a second. Some kind of delayed response. All right.
we're just overtired, overheated,
My computer is tired. Okay, so the first one is that there are plans for a second Prime Day this year. Dun, dun, dun. It's been a rumor for a little bit that there was going to be a second Prime Day. Now, I'm not talking about like the 2 days in July. I'm not talking about the 12th and the 13th. I'm talking about an actual second Prime Day wave that's tentatively targeted for October. I think what they saw was in 2020 when they moved Prime Day from June to July, sorry, to the fall. They saw that they got some good results, and then that also helped sustain the wave that went into Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Don't know if that's going to still be the case this year, but they're talking about a second wave for a Prime Day. So if you didn't get your stuff in for Prime Day, if you didn't get your listings up, if you didn't take action in your business, definitely take action before October. Okay. Get going, get started, get focused, get consistent. The tentative target time frame, listen to that. That's a whole bunch of T's. It's around October, but it could be before then. They could surprise us. But the word on the street is that it's potentially around October. So this article comes to us from CNBC, and that means, of course, as sellers, that'll help more sellers get into the black. Because again, that's really what really happens in Q4 is that everybody's in the black. They're maybe running red all year, and then now they catch up because of all the massive sales that are happening. So pay attention, see what's happening. And also, we're at the beginning of July. Well, really, this is the second full week in July. We're going to start seeing some stuff coming out from Amazon for those Amazon sellers at probably the middle of August. So this is like your 30 to 40 day warning. You're going to see some emails come out from Amazon, maybe 50-day warning. And if you are a person that is wanting to sell on August the 1st, fulfilled requirements. Okay, so it's the holiday shipping requirements for toys for merchant fulfilled. So you have to have an active account. This is historically, they haven't announced what they normally send out. They normally send it out. There's about 4 or 5 criteria, if I got that right, Kelly, because it's the same thing every year. It's been the same thing since we've been selling. So it's pretty much you got to get your first sale by August the 1st. They may change that this year. Who knows? Typically, they have a range of like August the 15th to October the 15th to get X number of sales, to improve your stats, not have a bunch of returns or not have a bunch of returns, and checking your feedback and all this other stuff, seller metrics. And if you meet all the seller metrics that they give you, then you'll be able to do merchant fulfilled on toys. Why does that matter? Is because sometimes there's some really great deals, and you may be able to go out, even if you're doing drop shipping or print on demand or wholesale, you may be able to do some merchant fulfilled on toys when your inventory runs out with whoever you've shipped it off to, if you're doing using fulfillment centers. So bringing that up in advance, I'll make sure in the next podcast that we give you those historical dates. Will the dates be the same this year? More than likely they will. They'll just, apply to 2022 versus 2021 or 2020 or 2019. They pretty much stay the same every year, at least the date range. So we'll pull those up, giving you enough time to get focused, get consistent, and be prepared for that. So you got 2 things happening. You got one, you're going to have some metrics that you need to meet between more than likely August the 15th to October the 15th. That's going to be coming up. Number 2, you got a potential second Prime Day that's coming up. And number 3 is you should probably be thinking about preparing for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So just put it out there in the universe. Anything else on that, Kelly, that you can think of?
A lot of this, also you have to have a certain amount of sales. You might have said that already.
Yeah.
That are merchant fulfilled, so you can merchant fulfill those orders.
Right.
So
I'm just trying to help you. Go ahead.
You might look into finding what you can find that's maybe something that's light, so you don't have to worry about heavy shipping costs.
Yes. Light stuff, lighter shipping costs. Absolutely. So this is your heads up, so you can put together your game plan so you can get focused and get consistent in your business. If you're an Amazon seller. If you're not an Amazon seller, some of this will matter, some of it won't. Prime Day, all platforms offer great deals. And it also means that if you're selling on other platforms, your platform is also going to be getting some increased traffic. So we care what Amazon does, that even if we're not Amazon sellers, if you're not an Amazon seller, you still sort of care about what Amazon does when it comes to Prime Day, because all platforms will get a little bit of a bump because Amazon is promoting Prime Day for buyers. So people will come online hunting for deals, and they may find your offering organically. So this matters to you, so you care about it. All right. Then the next thing is, there was an article that came from 5 warnings of shoppers from Target employees. Now, there was a couple of things. If you are a retail arbitrager, you probably care about this article. This comes from Yahoo, and so says you don't need to buy multiples to cash in on a deal. If you are a retail arbitrager, you may already know that. Maybe you don't. Employees may be working undercover. So sometimes, people have said that, Target is not friendly to resellers. And for the most part, they're probably not. But you can still get some great deals in Target. There's a lot of resellers that actually get some great deals. Target employs ex-FBI and criminal justice specialists. What the Sam Hill? And you could be missing out on hundreds of dollars in savings with Target. So definitely what I would do is make sure you have the Target app installed on your phone is one thing. Always keep your receipts. You should be doing that anyway as a reseller, because sometimes you can get some really good deals, and especially if something goes on sale, you can get the difference. And you should always check for the price online, even when you're physically in the store. This is a tip. If your first half of the year wasn't great, this is a tip for the second half of the year. I don't care if you buy from Target or not. any store that you're going to, check the store online while you're in the store if you're about to get some stuff, because every once in a while the price that you're looking at in front of you at that moment may actually be lower online. And sometimes, like, in for you're in Walmart will have like what we call secret clearance, and so you could scan that particular item and a lower price will actually pop up on the app. So this is that time of year to take advantage of as many of the deals and offerings and ways of saving money on acquiring inventory. So again, this article comes to us from Yahoo Life. You can come and read it if you're interested in it. The next article is about Bed Bath and Beyond. So we know that J.C. Penney's, Target, and Bed Bath and Beyond have been in the news a lot lately, especially in the last 6 months. They are experiencing some challenges financially. There are some buyers out there that were going to buy like Kohl's and I think Bed Bath and Beyond, and then they backed out. J.C. Penney's definitely went through bankruptcy and doing a reorg. And then Target sent back a bunch of the vendor ordered inventory for this year, and they have a bunch of stuff on sale. So every week, if you're a retail arbitrage, or even if you're not, if you're looking for inventory to be able to sell, to source for Q4, you need to roll through your local Target. And you should probably don't overlook the opportunity to check out Bed Bath & Beyond. I know some of the Bed Bath & Beyond locations are closing, so you might want to do a search to see if one of yours is closing soon. And, be on the lookout for deals. You should be like every week, if you're doing retail arbitrage, trolling those 4 stores, because you're probably going to find some amazing deals. And check what they're doing online, and also check what they're doing in the physical stores themselves. Because sometimes, if they are in peril, then the only thing that you're going to see online is what they're offering for all stores. If a specific local store is in distress or about to be closed, then they're going to probably have better deals than what you can get online. And I remember that's what happened with Toys R Us. It's like some of the deals that you could get locally in the store were not some of the things that were nationwide until they got down to the last couple of stores closing for Toys R Us. I still can't believe it's gone. But anyway, the next article is, this one has created quite the stir. And I don't know that we all know how this is 100% going to shake out for all the platforms. But a lot of the store chains are looking at and have been allowing people to keep returns. Now, as a seller, I'm not trying to have you keep my returns. I want my stuff back. If you want your money back, I want my stuff back. So,
yep, I'm sorry.
So this makes for
people gotta see that, and then they're like, "Well, Amazon does it. Why don't you do it on eBay?" Because I'm not Amazon. I don't have that kind of.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of money. So this actually has been on several news outlets. This happens to be ABC Chicago, but you can just do a search for store chains allowing you to keep your returns, your unwanted returns. So I'm waiting for each one of the platforms to sort of address this. This has been over a week now since the first time we heard this, almost 2 weeks, and I don't know that they fully addressed it, because there might be an expectation, because this has been in the news, and how they're going to. So we're going to keep monitoring any communication that any of the major platforms gives us that's contrary to what we as sellers have an expectation of. Like, if you want your money back, I'm going to need you to send my stuff back. You're not keeping my stuff. I am not Walmart. Even if I sold my stuff on Walmart, that does not mean that I don't want my stuff back. So, we're going to be digging into this, because this may be the thing through the end of the year. As I mentioned last year, I've been talking about this all year long. So this is the first time you've been watching the eCom Sellers podcast, then we invite you to come back, because we do this every week. But last year and the year before, they were talking about the fact that the number of returns were higher than expected. So they normally have a trend of anywhere from 7 to 9%, I believe, were the stats. Now you can go back and double check, because I might be a little off here. And the returns went up exponentially more than what they were preparing. And so now all of that surplus and returns are going there's companies that take the returns, processes them, and send them over to liquidation. Well, liquidation pallets have increased significantly because of all the returns from last year. So I'm thinking, the stores are probably going to position themselves to say this year, we don't want your stuff back. We don't want to have to deal with sending it over to a third party so that they can sell it to a liquidation pallet, sell it to a liquidation company. Like, we don't want to do all that. So I'm guessing that that's probably what's going to happen. But that's just me, Nicole, being in my own little silo, thinking that. We'll see how this flushes out. But again, if you paid attention to what happened at the end of 2020 and the end of 2021, there was an increase in concern in the number of returns going up more than what the industry was prepared to deal with. And now the industry is like, we don't want your stuff back. So this should be interesting. I don't know. You just need to be prepared for it, and you got to figure out what your strategy is. And for those of you that like your sales are enough, and so you can take a loss, that's fine. But for other sellers, they probably cannot do that. That may not be an option for them. So just putting that out in the universe and sharing that with everybody. It's something to think about. You may have to put that into your strategy as a seller and how you're going to deal with it or how you're going to address it. All right. So then I don't know what happened to this article. This is good housekeeping. And this article, I don't know. Did it go away? Okay. We'll see if it comes back. I'll come back to you. I know. Okay, so yeah, this is again about Bed Bath & Beyond. So that's one you really want to continue to monitor, because there's probably going to be some amazing deals and sales that you can take advantage of, or some clearance that's going to be out there in the universe. So again, if you're a person that's been buying liquidation pallets, or you have access to be able to go look at those wholesale pallets of inventory that Bed Bath & Beyond is not receiving, because they're another retailer that's not receiving inventory. When I say not receiving, they have told their vendors that they typically order inventory from. And remember, a lot of these companies order their inventory anywhere from 18 to 36 months in advance. That's what they typically do. So they have told them, yeah, we know we ordered this, but we don't want it now. So they've just rejected these pallets, which means there's more inventory out in the universe for you to be able to buy at a discounted rate and resell it yourself. Okay, so this comes to us from New York Post, and this was the article Kelly was talking about Amazon Prime subscribers can get Grubhub Plus free for a year. So you best believe your girlfriend Nicole here is going to be checking into that. Whatever Grubhub Plus offers, if you're a Prime member, I would suggest you look into that. As I said before, there's some chains that are closing. So you might want to do a search. This comes to us from Best Life to go see what stores are permanently closing in your area. And then Target, like Kelly said, we've been saying for a while, but there's several stores that are, having their own version of a Prime Day. Walmart. Oh, and I knew what we were going to talk about today. Target Plus. So like Walmart has Walmart Plus, Target has Target Plus. So we will talk about that next week. But in any case, Target is having some sales this weekend and through next week that are, again, direct competition with Amazon. So as she said before, they're like, look, shop around before you make a purchase, because you might actually get something at a lower price. But I will tell you, the stores I've mentioned before, you can probably get a boatload of inventory for Q4 from them right now at a discounted price. Plus, remember, Bed Bath & Beyond sends out that little, was it 10% off, 20% off mailer. So check your mailbox, because they spend a lot of money on that mailer every single week, or at least every month. You get that little flyer mailer. And so that's always a good one. All right. So this finally came back, sort of. It's not back up, but the list of back to school supplies, this comes to us from Good Housekeeping. So you can go take a look at it. And this may be a hint or an insight to you on what you could potentially be selling for, back to school. Back to school typically runs the beginning of July to about the middle to end of September. So that's a wide range of sales opportunities for back to school. So it's not just school supplies. You got to buy clothes, socks, shoes, underwear, all of that stuff. And all of that is part of back to school. So and then also computers and computer accessories, phones, and all of that stuff. So back to school is here. All of our back to school aisles at our Walmart. I went there this weekend. And I'm like, oh, so 6 aisles of back to school supplies are already up. And as soon as school is out, back to school comes back in. Put that on your calendar so you can remember for next year. Is there anything else,
Yep.
Kelly, you can think of that any other news that you?
Well, I always notice, I mean, this is be like the first year I don't have to shop for back to school because I don't have any kids in school anymore. But that's the back to school sales start like as soon as July 4th is off, boom,
Yeah.
back to school starts. So that's when you start looking for the back to school deals. And, you're like, well, maybe I don't sell on Amazon. I don't be, you can still find stuff for dorm rooms and such to sell, maybe some used items to put on eBay and Mercari and stuff. Do bundles of maybe have clothes that your kids outgrew. Do bundles of clothes that your kids outgrew. Uniforms. Maybe you had your child has to wear a uniform, and they have a bunch that they outgrew from last year, but they're still in really good condition. You can
Yep.
still put those up on because right now with the price of gas and the increase of food and such, lots of parents might be looking to get good used clothes for their children for school because they can't afford to buy everything new.
Absolutely. So just be looking for opportunities to, if you've got stuff in your house, like Kelly said, if you're needing to raise some money to have capital to be able to sell things for Q4, getting rid of your kids' clothes in bundles, selling, I sell my jeans, my boys' jeans in a bundle of four on eBay, or a bundle of six on eBay, and then I'll do the shirts the same way. So that's a great way to raise some money. Put those listings up because somewhere somebody is going back to school. The other tip is, like, I've been talking about this for a while, but as soon as school is out, when you hear about school being out for the first time, which is typically around the end of May, the third week in May for some states and fourth week of May for other states, then that's when you should start putting your back to school listings up that first week in June. Seriously. And you should be ordering your back to school supplies in April. I know that feels weird, but that is like, no, don't start any later than April. And you can, like I said, ride that wave until the end of September. So, all right. Well, I hope that information was helpful for you. We're going to go ahead and transition to listings. We're going to transition to our e-commerce tips. So we're going to roll through these tips, and then we're going to wrap it up. So this is 8 tips for creating a good listing. Go ahead, Kelly.
Oh, didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm going to do the first one. I'll let Kelly take the second one. So before you get started creating your listing, you need to do some keyword research. You should always be doing keyword research before you create your listings. If you know, like, if you have a plan to create 5 listings every day, then before you start creating the listings, do the keyword research on all the items that you're about to list so that you can knock that out first and begin the process of creating your listings. Um, Keyword research is going to help your listings be found organically. And ultimately, that's what you want. You want your listings to be found organically. Is there anything you want to add to that, Kelly?
Um, my keyword researching, a lot of people use like websites and stuff. I look at since I mainly list on like eBay, Etsy, and Mercari. I look at what items that if I find the same item that I'm trying to list or something really similar, and I look at the sold items, and that's what I use for my keyword researching. I look at the sold items to see what words were used by then, or you can use with eBay. You have Terapeak you can use, and you can research um, and see what words were used the most by that item that sold.
Absolutely. So keyword research is so important. There's so many different techniques and strategies, and that one she talked about is actually on the list. But yeah, you can. There's just you can use a tool. There's keywords everywhere. You can use the search engines for each one of the selling platforms, Amazon, eBay, because Amazon has a search engine. eBay does too. When you type things in the search box, that's a search engine, and just start typing there. You can look at competitor listings, sold listings, and definitely get some insight or existing listings. All right, next one, Kelly.
Think like a customer. You want to think, how would a customer be looking up that item? Because make sure you're using words that will your customer might be typing in to search for that item. A lot of people will put like rare and great deal, or put some words that people will not be using to just try to draw traffic to their item. But customers are not searching in rare or great deal or crazy words that people put in, or they'll put emojis in their listing title, on their listing for their titles, and using up um, what we only have so many words, how many so many characters you can use, and you have to start thinking, what words do I want to describe my item, and not words to try to draw traffic by saying rare or crazy, or so use the words to describe the item. Maybe someone wants to find a certain color t-shirt with that character on it. So make sure you're using describing words that describe your item, and not to just draw traffic crazily like that.
Absolutely. And also think about words in your listing when you think of thinking like a customer. Most of the time, customers are interested in things that may also trigger their emotions or their senses. So, as you look at listings and think about how you're going to create your listing, think about what this thing does, is what it's going to help, what it's going to solve, how the person will feel before you start creating that listing. And those items, those words, those feelings, those thoughts may become part of your listing in some kind of way or description. Number three, optimize your title. So, optimizing your title means incorporating those keywords that you did some research on, and including those keywords about what the item is or what it does, or who is, whatever it's and what it is and its purpose, and the first 5 to 7 words, because that's how people are searching for it in the search engines. Think about what the words are that they're putting in on Amazon when they're typing in that box, or they're typing in the eBay box, or they're typing in the Walmart box. Like if they are looking for, let's say, back to school supplies, they're literally going to type in the words back to school supplies. So somewhere in your title in the first 5 to 7 words should be the words back to school supplies. It shouldn't be terribly difficult. There will be some other things that may cause your listing to stand out more than others, but incorporate the words that logically make sense for what this thing is. Now, some of the phrases you use may be high competition phrases. So, breaking out the thesaurus and seeing if you can find related words, similar words, whatever, complementary words may help your listing to stand out more as build out your title. But think about what it is and incorporate those keywords or long tail keywords within the first 5 to 7 words of the title. Anything you want to add to that, Kelly?
No, I think we've covered it in the last two.
Okay. All right. That one's yours.
A customer focused detailed description. So many times I've seen listings and all they have is the title, just copied down from what the title was, and then they just have the title and their description and nothing else. Well, you have to make sure if it's going to be something you need to have measurements because people, you want these detailed descriptions because if not, you will be getting emails and questions and everything from customers asking 15 things that you could have saved your time by putting that in the description. Even though people say, well, the customers don't even read the descriptions anymore. Some of them do. And, I make sure I sell clothes. I have my measurements in there. Um, so make sure you put these details in there. Say what's in there. If it's a used item, say if it has any defects, or if it say you have an a like a remote control, but it needs this certain software to be able to use it. Make sure you say if you have the software or not. Um,
I
so,
have no idea why all my alarms are deciding to go off right now. That is so funny. Go ahead, Kelly.
but make sure that you put all these details in there because if it's not detailed, that can lead to a lot of returns.
Yes.
So you want to save yourself on returns, and you want to save yourself from getting 15,000 questions about the item too.
Right. And if you do get 15,000 questions about the item, go back and update the listing.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Go back and update the listing and add the missing stuff. All right. Take high quality photos or use high quality images. If you're not taking the photos yourself, make sure you're using high quality images and name your images when you are uploading them to whatever site that you're selling on. Make sure that the item is full and bright on the main image, because you don't want to have a main image where the image of the product is in the middle and there's a whole bunch of white space around it. Your goal is that as soon as this person pulls up the product on their phone or they pull it up on their computer, that it takes up the majority of the white space. So make sure that it's taking up the majority of the white space, and that you edit it if you need to, or crop it so that you can get more of that real estate. Make sure you're aware of the dimensions for the different platforms that you sell on for the main image and any secondary images that you upload for your listing. So you need to know what that is. So you don't have grainy or fuzzy images. You want them to be clean and clear and crisp if possible. And there's tools you can use to clean the background if clearing the background makes sense. Not all images, it makes sense to clear the background. So anything else you want to add to that, Kelly?
If you're taking your own photos, if you have something that's reflective, make sure you see what that item's reflecting back into the camera.
Yep.
Just saying.
So many things come to mind. All right. Let's go ahead, Kelly.
Price your product correctly and competitively. So you have to look to see what is this item selling for historically and recently. This can, you're like, well, it's July right now, and I want all this Christmas stuff, but it's selling really low. Well, eBay has a great thing called Terapeak, and you can look back at that item and at the last 12 months, and you can see what it sold for around Christmas time. So if you're wanting to sell that waiting for it to sell at higher price, you could probably list it now at the lower price, and then later on increase it to the higher price because people are willing to pay more closer to the holidays. So you have to see what the prices are doing historically. You can use tools like Camel, and Keepa on eBay to see how the price fluctuates then. Because you can go around and see, 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months how the prices have changed, and does it kind of go up and down. Maybe there's certain times of year that item tends to sell for a higher price, and you can follow the historical rates on those items. But don't also make sure you're not the one that's going to be causing the race to the bottom either.
Yeah.
So I know you want your stuff to sell, but don't be the one to cause everyone else to start lowering their price because you have the lowest price, and then they want to try to beat yours, and then you got buyer C trying to beat that person, and next thing you know, no one's making any profit because everyone's trying to sell and they run the price down to nothing.
which is very, very frustrating.
Yes.
Know the shipping specifics or how you plan to ship it. So when I'm sourcing anything, doesn't matter if I'm sourcing it online, doing online arbitrage or retail arbitrage, I'm out there thrifting or I'm actually in the store buying. Even if I'm buying wholesale, I gotta know how is this thing going to potentially be shipped, even if I'm not shipping it myself, because I need to have an idea of my potential estimated shipping costs. So as you acquire inventory, you should always be thinking in the back of my mind, what is it going to cost to ship this thing? As Kelly said before, like, small things. Small things are less expensive to ship than big things. So shipping something oversized, and also be thinking about, whatever warehouses that you're shipping inventory to, if you're using fulfillment centers, whether it's WFS, FBA, or some other method, be thinking about that storage fee as well. You should have all of those expenses in the back of your mind as you are sourcing or acquiring your inventory, because at some point you're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to deal with storage fees if you are dealing with a fulfillment center. You're going to have to deal with shipping costs if you sell physical products. So that all of that's going to cut into your potential ROI. There's too many people out here saying that they're $1 million sellers, but in reality, their ROI is so minuscule that they're really not making any money at all. So sometimes the things that eat into that profit are the things that when you're not paying attention to. So pay attention to what the estimated cost might be for shipping, how big is this thing, and also if you're doing storage fees, or you're dealing with FBA, or you're dealing with WFS or some other fulfillment center, what are they charging me to store this thing, especially if it's big? Anything else, Kelly?
Also, if whether you plan to do offer your free shipping to your customers or do you want to charge shipping,
Yeah.
you have to figure that out, and because that can affect how much you list your price for. Because if you want to do free shipping and add the shipping into the price, then your price will be higher. But if you got charge shipping, you might want to price it a little lower to account for that shipping cost for your customer.
There you go. Review or scan similar or competitor listings for inspiration. So Kelly hinted on this in the first one, that the one thing that can help you, there's many things that we listed here today, and this is not the entire list. There are always more things that you can do to help you create a good listing or optimize your listing. And looking at your competitors listings as inspiration, potentially getting ideas, sold listings, current active listings, related listings, any of that can help you to create your listing better. Sometimes just taking a listing when you do the search. So let's say you are selling, I don't know, I'm going to do something simple like boys socks, size 6 to 9. So, because back to school is coming up. So boys socks, crew socks, we'll say it's those. So when you just type in boys crew socks, and whatever the first couple of listings that come up on whatever platform, whether it's eBay or it's Amazon or Walmart, those are the ones that come up first are the ones that have been either purchased the most, have the best ranking, get the most views, or they are optimized enough in the search engine so they pop up first. So reviewing the dynamics and reviewing all the details of those specific listings can help you build a better listing or an equivalent listing in the future, so that when you're ready to sell your socks, if you're selling socks, you can pay attention to how they created it. What was the title? What was the description? What do the images look like? Are there some additional details that you may be overlooking? And that's the reason why yours doesn't come up. Now, some of them are, listings that have been around for years, and so they are doing well because they've been around for years. But that doesn't mean that there isn't an opportunity for you to get some sales as well. So learn from your competitors, reverse engineer their listings, and use that as inspiration for creating your own listing. Anything you want to add to that, Kelly?
Also use that to find out what can you do to make your listing pop better than theirs.
Absolutely.
Maybe all the listings of the socks have the socks looking the same, but if you have your listing with the socks looking a little, facing a different way or something, then that's what catch someone's eyes if all the other listings look the same and yours would just happen face the other way, so it looks a little different and it draws someone's eye because it's different.
Yep. And one last thing I'll add to that is go through and look at the reviews for some of the listings that have a lot of reviews and go look at the negative. Sometimes the negative pieces of those listings that have a lot of reviews, that negative information can help you write a listing that is the exact opposite of what people are complaining about those particular listings. So incorporating those, the opposite phrase, like, oh, okay, well, these stocks roll down all the time. We can say, and these stocks won't roll down. Like, whatever it happens to be, whatever the complaint is that somebody had to put something negative. So just go after the one, if there's a listing that has over 2,000 reviews and the majority of the reviews are 5-star and 4-star, I'm going down to the ones and say, okay, there may be 5 1-star reviews or 4 1-star reviews. I'm going to go look at those 4 1-star reviews and see what they wrote, and then maybe incorporate some of that phrasing, the opposite of some of that phrasing, into my listing as I created. All right. Well, if this information was helpful to you, we have a listing optimization workshop that is coming up. It is tomorrow, and it's at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can register for this workshop. It's $27, and so it's a 2-part series. You'll gain access to the first part of the series. So you can go to ecomsellersacademy.com/listing workshop and sign up and register for that particular workshop, and so that you can learn what you need to do and get a little bit of practice on how to optimize your listings, because that's going to be a key thing for the second half of the year. We are in the second half of the year. So we should all be focused on what are the things we can do better to make sure that we have the best possible Q4. And with the platforms giving us more opportunities to get, more exposure, like Amazon having 2 Prime days, then that means that there's going to be more online traffic. Not that the traffic has gone away because COVID, people are still buying online. They're still ordering online. They're also doing pickup and they're also going to the stores. But online shopping hasn't slowed down. It's still happening. It's just, happening a little differently. So take advantage of that opportunity and figure out how you can create better listings long term, bigger picture. And then we wanted to just give you a heads up that the Q4 Summit is coming up. So maybe by the next podcast, we'll have the open registration open. But we are working on a list of amazing speakers that will be sharing their knowledge of some things that you could be doing to make sure that you have an amazing Q4. Q4 is right around the corner. And we like to start preparing for Q4 before now, but August is when our workshop is going to be. Not our workshop, our summit is going to be. So be on the lookout for that. Let a friend know. We would love to have, a great number of people register for the summit. And again, the speakers have not been published yet. So be on the lookout for that coming up. So with that, you can hear my son in the background this whole time because he's just so loud. He's so loud. I love him so much. Oh my gosh, he's so loud. So that is it for now. I can't think of anything else. I'm sure we have a lot of other stuff coming on. I do invite you all that if you are not on Clubhouse, to come check us out on Clubhouse. We're also live in the e-commerce planning Facebook group every single day, or at least we try to be every day. So come check us out there. And with that, we do this every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Come back, share this out with a friend, let somebody else know about the eCom Sellers Podcast. And my name is Nicole Whitlock.
I'm Kelly, the eCom Mom Ward.
And we will see you next time on another episode of the eCom Sellers Podcast. We're going to say goodbye for now. Bye, y'all.
Yay.